Okay, let's talk about this concept of drum dynamics. This is always a tricky topic for me because I don't even know what drum dynamics is normally. I'm thinking in terms of like metal bands and hard rock bands, and maybe even just a lighter band that's just rocking really hard, maybe like a Dave Matthews type band. When they're really giving it hell, there isn't a whole lot of ups and downs. And this is a general view of dynamics that I have altogether anyway. Most bands, when they're like playing the chorus, they're going full blast. I mean, it varies from song to song, I guess, but if they're going full blast, whatever that means, then it's usually just 100%. And that's kind of how modern mixing, the direction they've went when you look at how loud things are, that there isn't a lot of variation from second to second in terms of SPL, in terms of pure volume. So anyway, one of the things we can do, and this is more not so much for like how we view dynamics as a whole, it's more of song intensity type of discussion. So I don't really care what the meters are doing. I'm interested in feel. Now what I've got here, I got standard drums, and I've got some Slate samples, and real ones too. Before we get wound up about the samples, anyway, and I've got them sent to a parallel compression bus, and I'm just smashing them pretty damn hard. You can see that here. Let's see, what do I got? I got 1176 on it. So let's take a listen to that soloed first, just so you know what's going on with these drums. Okay, so nothing too damn crazy, but let's mute that and solo the other drums and see what those are doing. Wow, that's pretty reverby. Weird. Okay, now I guess a lot of the sound. Now we'll hear the drum soloed with the samples back in and parallel compression. Still pretty damn wet. Weird. Okay, well, that's part of the gig. That's a whole other discussion, I guess, but one of the reasons you got to be careful of that solo button. Anyway, let's take a look at this mix now. And what I've done is I've automated the parallel compression bus. Because it's such a fundamental part of the drum sound, I've decided that I'm going to blend that in when I need it and then yank it out, or at least turn it down. I don't think I ever actually yank it out, but like right here, what are we? Only 2 decibels down, maybe 3 decibels does a huge difference in what a track feels like. And I noticed this is a very common issue with samples is people just toss them on and don't work with them. And you got to work with real snares, like the real, actual SM57 track or whatever. So why not work with these two? And this is all part of the puzzle we got to put together. So anyhow, on the choruses, I've got it nuke. I got it full blown, whatever volume that is, 0 or something. Yeah, right at it. And then this verse here, it drops down to minus 2.75. And then it's not really a pre-chorus, but it's kind of escalating a little bit. So I go up a decibel. I'm not even sure if it's audible. The big thing that got me into this, or that set this off for me, was I noticed that when I guess it was a guitar solo, the samples seemed too out there, like they were too obvious, I guess, and in a kind of a fake, distracting kind of way. The kind of sound that people who hate samples say, "See, I told you." Well, that's not really. You got to take care of that stuff. That's what good mixing's all about. So let's take a listen here. I'm going to show you with the samples off. I'm trying to figure out the best way to show you this. Let's take a look at this guitar solo. I'm going to turn the sampler or the automation off. I guess those drums really are pretty reverby. I probably overdid that, but it doesn't really matter for this. I'll deal with that in the real mix. That wasn't terrible to me, but take a listen now when I turn the automation on. Automation off. This is pretty subtle stuff, but what I'm doing is I'm shifting this. I want to pull them down, and you start hearing more of that snare bottom. They get a little bit, I don't know if I say brighter, but less like that of that chunk that we get from the sample so much, and more of the kind of the natural room sound. And see, let's go to a more aggressive sound or section. on the first or the second verse here. So we're coming out of this big chorus. Let's listen to that, and then you'll see right here it drops down about 3 decibels. Okay, so let's kill the automation and go up to full-blown volume, and you'll notice these samples are really kind of out there. Now, we can get away with that. I mean, it's not necessarily wrong. I think the kick is overdone, especially in this verse. I would prefer the other tracks. This is the nature of two-bus compression. Whenever the mix gets real dense, it starts clamping down. So we're actually kind of containing that kick in the chorus. We don't have as many tracks, and we're not near as dense in this verse, and so this compressor isn't working near as hard. And so what happens is it artificially brings up this kick that was kind of compressed on purpose as a whole. So anyhow, let's go back to this, and let me show you before and after again. And what you're going to notice is the drums are a lot smaller, and I did that on purpose. Why would I want small drums, you say? Well, the reason for that is because I want big ones. And if we're big all the time, then we don't have big drums. We just have drums. And so it's very important to create this contrast where we're really kicking butt, and then we back off. And I really don't know what the drummer played well on this track for sure. I don't know, what he really did in terms of dynamics. I guess I could kind of halfway look here on what he did on the kick and stuff. And for all I know, we got louder in the verse. But that doesn't fit the context of the song right now. Obviously, the verse needs to go down a little bit. And so by not having to monkey with his over like the drum bus as a whole, but actually playing around with just the samples, we can do a lot of control, but somehow keep him natural. And also by changing the respective balances between the samples and the real drum set, we get tonal change, which is something you don't get with just adjusting volumes. And after you've already compressed real hard, maybe you don't have a lot of those options anyway. All right, guys, so make sure whenever you're messing around with these drums, take the time when a song calls for it to yank them down. And try doing it with parallel compressed drums, because that could be a really fun way to shape not only the volume, but the tone of what's going on. All right, guys, thanks. Bye.